All right, today we are talking about nutrition, specifically for the athlete preparing for sport, preparing for training, preparing for performance. But what comes with that is essentially just preparing or trying to feel good, which is really something that can apply to everybody as well. So this will be a good broad topic that will hopefully have information for anybody with any intentions or goals in mind. So first thing we can dive into is, what is an athlete's nutrition looking like out of season? So we start with out of season because that's going to be, broadly speaking, the most maintenance-like that your diet is going to look like, pending your goals. But in other words, that's the most general your diet's going to look like. You're eating just to pretty much sustain whatever activity you're performing in your natural phase of life. You're not prepping for a competition. You're not prepping for games.
Yep.
You're just looking to exist and exist healthily. So what does regular eating look like for a person? It's a broad question, but how can we decide what regular looks like for a given person?
Yeah, definitely a broad question. Hopefully, that's everyone, like you said, just eating at a maintenance level. So they're eating their breakfast, their lunch, their dinner, and then probably, a snack, 2 snacks in the day. It's probably like your standard eating. I mean, then you have your bodybuilders that eat like 6 times a day, 7 times a day, but I would say your standard is breakfast, lunch, dinner. Your standard probably in America is lunch, dinner, and snacks here or there.
And unless you're tracking, because we can talk about tracking later, what's going to dictate what you think is kind of your proper quantity of food that you're eating? It's really going to be, what are you listening to?
Yeah. Ideally, you're looking at protein source in your meals, and then you're looking at your carb source, and then your fats Fats typically fall in line. I think typically where I come into, depending on what you eat, so if you eat like a bunch of red meat, your fats are going to be higher. You're not going to need to source in fats, and that's like we talked about tracking. Cole's healthy fats, so if you're eating red meat, eggs, avocados, great. If you eat ice cream like I do, there's your fats. So I eat a little leaner throughout the day. But yeah, that's your maintenance is just kind of prioritize, in my opinion, protein first, especially in maintenance, and then get your carbs so you're actually fueling your body for what we're doing right now in the off season, and then fats kind of fall in place.
Yeah, and if you're trying to let all of these things fall into place, you're really going to be trying to, if you're not tracking, listening to satiety cues, listening to how you're feeling like after a meal, digestion, energy, things like that. So the more protein you eat, and the more, I don't want to call them single ingredient, but the closer to single ingredient that you get, the easier it's going to be to dictate your satiety and your energy levels after a meal, versus if you're eating highly processed things, it's going to be, that was, 3 ounces of food for 400 calories, and I'm still hungry. I could eat 6 more servings of that.
Exactly. I just did a whole month in May of a single ingredient, and it was like, I took a picture of my plate, and I was just like, look how much I eat here, and that added up to like you said, 500 calories. I'm like, I have this whole thing full, and we kind of talked about it. We just did that competition, and I was eating fruit, and you're like, do you want some Gatorade sugar? I was like, yes, I do. I was like, I packed fruit and stuff for my kids that were there, and I was like, just pounding strawberries in between. You're like, here's a sugar packet, so you get 30 grams of carbs quickly, and that's how you fuel for when you're in competition. But they said you can really, when you're eating that single ingredient food, you can eat a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're going to go off script to return back to script, it's like you were just talking about, we were at a competition. You were used to eating those single ingredient foods.
Yes.
Sure, you might be getting 100 calories from what would honestly probably fill you halfway up.
Yes.
Versus we were in a competitive setting where if you do that, you're going to be full at the next event, and you're going to be uncomfortable, and you're probably going to have a third to a quarter of the carbs you need to put legit performance on the quote-unquote field.
Oh, exactly.
So there's that contrast between, am I getting enough carbs without really upsetting my stomach? Not upsetting your stomach, but leaving as much empty space in your stomach as possible, versus trying to fill yourself up and just keep yourself at steady blood sugar, steady energy levels. You're not prepping to go out there and throw a barbell 90 yards down the field.
Right.
But I forget how I was going to use this to get us back on track. I honestly do.
It's okay. But So to even kind of stay at that topic, we talked about even we're in our off-season maintenance. I think that a lot of times, and yeah, you can go the single ingredient route. As an athlete, you're not going to. I don't consider myself much of an athlete anymore. And then we went right into a competition setting, so I went single ingredient for a whole month. Luckily, I wasn't training that much. That's more just like lifestyle person. You want to eat whole ingredients. And even as an athlete, I highly suggest 80% almost single ingredient, but you're just going to have to eat sugar. And I think even in your off season, if you're having how long are your training sessions right now?
2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. And do you fuel yourself within those 2 to 3 hours?
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, if your training session's over an hour and a half, you need to be eating something at like the hour mark. Like if it's an hour, you're probably going to be fine to just fueling after. But if you're not fueling your body, your training session is just going to go to crap too. So you expend all that energy in 90 minutes. It's like, oh, I still have an hour left of this piece. It's like that piece is going to suck if you don't actually fuel your body.
Yeah, and it's like there's the energy element of it to where if you don't have that food in you, you don't have the energy to put into your training. But there's something to be said mentally about feeling capped off or feeling topped off in the gas tank.
Yes.
If you're at 70% gas in the tank, sure, you could probably survive through a piece, and actually it wouldn't be terrible. Like that piece, the quality of that piece wouldn't be terrible. But if you top off that gas tank, mentally you're like, oh, I can actually kind of like throw some juice into this piece. I won't just be getting through it at the bare minimum effectiveness, I don't know, rate.
Yeah.
What you want to call it? Effectiveness, performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you top that gas tank off and you're like, oh, I can actually go and punch a hole in a wall during this piece, like that's what you want to do 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, you can put the pedal to the metal and actually get the most out of each training session. So that just comes into big on just fueling properly. And when you do that, it's not like, don't drink a protein shake in that. Like a lot of people are like, oh, lifted, I got to get 30 minutes, so I got to get my protein shake in. Not if you're going to get into some other stuff. You're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah.
Like just like either, like you said, Gatorade, Tank. You're a big Tank guy.
Yeah, I was doing Tank for a while. Then I just stopped finding it in the stores because I guess it was kind of a niche thing relative to Gatorade at least.
So Gatorade's a lot easier.
Supply and demand, you know what I mean?
Liquid carbs, or maybe like a applesauce pack or dried fruit, maybe a little bit could be one. You get a little bit more carbs out of that.
Dried fruit's pretty nice. It's just you got to chew it, so maybe it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, in the hour and a half setting, it's probably just best to just either a quick pouch of something that goes down, or if you like Gatorade, just drink Gatorade. But so, what do you think on an athlete buying a Gatorade bottle compared to using the powder?
So the Gatorade, there's nothing wrong with the Gatorade bottle, but it's determining the dilution of the sugar in your liquid source. Whereas if you have Gatorade powder, you can do that yourself. I remember hearing stories of Matt Frazier taking a gallon's worth of Gatorade powder and putting it in 8 ounces of water, and he would just kind of have to slurp down the sludge. And he's controlling how much sugar was in that concentration of water, and you're getting, I don't even know how much sugar is in a gallon's worth of Gatorade powder, but you're getting 150 to 200 grams of sugar. Like, I can't snap because I don't know why. I don't have the. I know how to. It just doesn't work. But you're getting.
It just doesn't work.
You're getting.
I love that comment. I know how to.
I think there's something wrong with me. No, but you're getting that much sugar in, call it 10 seconds, versus how long would it take you to drink that much sugar as packaged in Gatorade?
A gallon of Gatorade.
Yeah, and your stomach would blow up because that's a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
So just. You're trying to get your sugar fast, and you're trying to get it at little cost in terms of space in your stomach. You want it to instantly jump into your body once you're drinking it.
No, I agree. I think everyone should just do the powder because, like you said, you can control. You go and buy a Gatorade, and like some of them are big, and it's like I was looking at a Gatorade the other day, and it was like 47 grams of sugar in this, and I was like, this is a lot to drink for 47 grams of sugar. I mean, for an athlete, or I could do a water bottle with 12 ounces in it, shake it up, and boom, done.
Yeah.
And I don't have that full, sloshing around and all that stuff. Like, it was easy. 40 grams of sugar in a 12-ounce water bottle, done.
And it's probably more cost-effective to buy the powder, too. It's
way more cost-effective.
I got this jug back here. I don't know how many gallons it makes, but I'm sure that was cheaper than the equivalent in pre-bottled Gatorade.
100%. Yeah, you're even going to be more cost-effective going that way. Because then you just need a shaker bottle, too. You don't even have to buy, like, a water bottle and like plastic water bottles. Just a shaker bottle, you're done.
And I've heard, even if we're on the topic of cost effectiveness, endurance athletes, whether they're runners or cyclers or whatnot, are often what they're doing is getting table sugar, salt, and they're just mixing up their own concoction
and water.
And that's probably the cheapest bet you have. I mean,
it is 100% the cheapest bet, but I just can't imagine the flavor of that.
I mean, I'll try it. I'm curious.
I know you would try
yeah,
it.
I would try anything.
I'll let you tell me how it tastes, and I'll keep drinking the flavored good stuff.
Okay. I mean, you can add.
Do you ever mix salt into it?
Sometimes I will do a little liquid IV Gatorade cocktail.
Okay. Ooh, little cocktail, mocktail.
Dude, sometimes my eyes like roll to the back of my head whenever that hits my tongue.
I bet. I mean, I'm a big in electrolytes. I preach it a lot. I use Relight, so it's powder, and I've mixed that with like extra sugar before, because that has a flavor.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking. I've tried it have you ever tried those unflavored LMNTs?
No, I've tried the poorly flavored Elementies.
The poorly flavored, like the mango.
Yeah,
chili.
no, chili mango.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this to be spicy. You know, it's gonna burns my throat going down.
I tried to. Did you end up finishing it? Were you that committed to it, or did you?
Oh yeah, I drank the whole time. I was like, I need the sodium.
Oh my gosh.
And it's already in my shaker cup.
I would have rather died. I'd have been like SpongeBob in that one episode, just like, I'll dehydrate. Kill me now.
Oh, whenever he goes to Sandy's enclosure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could not house down a mango chili.
No, I did it, but I just
disgusting thing I've ever
I
put
just
in my
knew never to do it again.
I just knew never to do it again.
But no, returning back to that topic where we were saying, okay, a lot of more, I don't want to phrase this, fewer calories for more stomach space versus less stomach space for more calories, depending on your circumstance.
Yep.
The way I was going to segue us back into the postseason with that was, do you want to change your physique in the off season? So now we've talked about, okay, what does it look like listening to our satiety, understanding how much food we need just to feel good at a base level.
Yep.
But now let's say we're in the off season and we are a football player and we're like, hey, we need to gain 15-ish pounds this off season in order to improve our performance next time the real season rolls around.
Yeah.
Or we're a CrossFit athlete who has to gain weight to jump into the non-existent weight class that CrossFit is, or you're a bigger athlete who needs to lose weight to become more effective at your gymnastics and at your aerobic conditioning. We're looking at tying that food volume versus calorie ratio now into how we address our nutrition in the off season whenever we're trying to change our physique.
Yep.
So say we have the example of somebody who's trying to get smaller. We have a large athlete who's a powerhouse with the barbell, and they are trying to slim down a little bit so they're better at their gymnastics and their cardio. How are we looking at their food in the off season?
It's gonna stink for them, but they're just gonna have to cut their energy levels. As simple as it comes down to. I mean, you want to keep your protein at ideal body weight, would say.
Yeah.
And
So when we
that's,
say that, we mean 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yep.
In that region.
Yeah. Yeah, and then their training sessions are just going to suffer a little bit. You're going to be at a deficit, and you're obviously eating at a calorie deficit. It's the only way you can lose weight. No fad diets, just eat at a calorie deficit. Fasting's not a thing. But just
fasting is the thing. A lot of people do it.
Ugh.
Is it a good thing?
It's just limiting, in my opinion. They're like, oh, fasting works. It's like it's just limiting your time window.
Correct, yeah. You're eating 1 or 2 less meals, and that's 1 or 2 less meals of calories that you're eating.
Exactly.
Granted, some of those calories get funneled in the meals you do eat, but not the entirety of those calories.
Exactly. And then there's people, to not go off on another tangent, but that'll be like, oh, I fasted for 72 hours, and that, like, research showed that eliminated some bad cells in my body. I'm like, dude, you just deteriorated your body and made it weak and inefficient. Like, all you did was probably just make your body more susceptible to disease from that. Like, yeah, you might have burned some cell, but it's probably like a 20-day fast to actually make that relevant.
Yeah.
And then you're just dwindling muscle mass, which is way more important than the other stuff.
Yeah, if you're looking to maintain performance levels, consistent fuel intake is probably your best bet.
Yes, just don't fast.
Yeah, I tried doing that a little bit in college, and 3 days later, I'm like, yeah, I can't function until my first meal at whatever time in the day. And
Exactly.
I was like, okay, I'm done doing this.
Well, and there's like people are like, oh, I did fasted cardio. Why?
Yeah.
Cardio session probably stunk. Like you
Are
did
you
nothing.
Are you a bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Peaking for a show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like that would maybe that, and I still probably don't see it. Just eat right. Like just eat
Cut your
properly.
calories. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about methods for reducing calories. So we talked about kind of finding that maintenance level for you. It was a loose topic of conversation, but we talked about protein, satiety, It's also going to help to find some sort of routine or some sort of habit with your intake. So you eat breakfast at, I don't know, 6:30 every morning. You eat lunch at 11 o'clock every day. And then you eat dinner at, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock every day. And within those, you're like, okay, I have a snack here, I have a snack there. Once you fall into a habit of A, meal timing, and B, even meal choice, like I know for me personally, all the food I eat every day is the same with exception of dinner. My dinner changes every day, which I think is enough variety for me to stay plugged in with the same thing every other time. But once you have these kind of flagpoles set into your day, you're like, okay, I know this is what I'm eating, I don't have to think about it. I know this is what I'm eating, I don't have to think about it.
Yep.
Then you can begin to manipulate things pretty easily without having to do much measurement or tracking. Because we can talk about tracking probably in a later episode based on time. But yeah, if you are establishing these consistent elements in your diet, it's very easy to manipulate things. So if you're like, oh, I eat 3 eggs and I eat 2 cups, or not two I was going to say 2 cups of oatmeal, that's a lot, and a half to 1 cup of oatmeal every, dude, you'd be eating breakfast for 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, but say you eat 3 eggs and a cup of oatmeal every morning, and you're saying, okay, now it's time for me to try to lose weight, and I was previously at a maintenance level. How do I reduce my calories? Now I'm eating 2 eggs, and now instead of 1 cup of oatmeal, I'm eating 2/3 or 3/4.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I was drinking milk with my breakfast, now I'm drinking water. It's your meal stays the same, it's just a little bit smaller, and some things are swapped out for others because calories.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Calories are king when it comes to losing weight.
Same thing goes the other way. If you're trying to get bigger, I don't want to say 3 eggs turns into 4 because that turns into a big task, but I mean, if you're not drinking milk, now you are.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
Or if your 3 eggs turns into 3 eggs plus 2 egg whites, that could be an option. Like, there are so many ways to manipulate these variables to keep your day and your schedule the same while just increasing or decreasing your calories as needed.
You could, so a hack, and it's not that, I wouldn't say it's the healthiest hack, but add a little heavy whipping cream to your eggs.
Yeah.
It makes them
I've
delicious.
never
Scrambled
heard of
eggs.
that.
Yeah, throw a little heavy whipping cream in there. Little calorie boost. And, oh, it's so good.
Oh, and especially if we're looking to boost calories, you might not be boosting your protein depending on, I don't know, how heavy you want to get. But it's like if we're looking at a gram of protein per pound of body weight and you weigh 160 pounds and you want to get to 170, sure, you might be upping your protein from 160 to 170. That's not looking like much of a difference in your daily eating. What you're really going to be looking at is your carb difference.
Yep.
And even like in the grand scheme of your day, you're not looking at that much of a difference either. Maybe you're looking at an extra 40 or 50 grams of carbs in a day, depending on the person.
Yep.
And that's going to look like I said, with your breakfast, that's an extra 1/4 cup of oatmeal. With your lunch, that's an extra 50 to 70 grams of rice. And then maybe later in the day, you have like an extra little snack or something.
Yeah.
And across your whole day, the difference isn't really that substantial compared to your normal diet.
You're really not going to see that big, like a difference in your meals, like you said. And you're going to see the appropriate weight gain. Like, don't just be like, I need to gain 10 pounds. And then
you just start slamming food.
Yeah, exactly. Just start eating whatever it is. Like, I still don't recommend eating bunch of fast food and stuff like that. Like, you want to go have one, maybe your extra calories, like 1 McDouble. That's fine. Whatever. But don't just be like, oh, well, now two meals a day are going to be Wendy's and McDonald's because I need to gain 10 pounds. So you're going to gain that 10 pounds and you're going to feel horrible and sluggish. And
I remember
it's gonna be bad weight.
I remember watching these old videos. You know C.T. Fletcher?
Yes.
Back when he was a powerlifter,
Yeah.
Dude pretty much lived in McDonald's. And it was, I mean, he was strong as heck, but it had some health effects because he probably didn't need as much as he was eating, even though the quantity, how do I want to phrase this? The quantity of food he was eating was effective to a certain degree, and then beyond that, it was just counter-effective.
And that's like, and that used to be like the big weight moves weight, which yes, it does. But now, if you look, my cousin's big strongman guy, shout out Josh Henderson, 580. But look at the athletes now. It used to be like just big, kind of sluggish looking sometimes guys, and now you look at them, they're all ripped.
Yeah,
they're big. But they're starting to be ripped. They move more efficiently and effectively when you look more like that. When it's good weight, like you're gonna be. And now all those type of guys are winning.
I was gonna say, like, there's an athleticism bias pretty much to anything that you're doing. If you get so big to where your body fat levels and just the size of your body inhibits your athleticism, depending on the sport, like powerlifting, is that going to have much of an effect? Not crazy, but I mean, there's something to be said about being more athletic anytime you're moving any sort of external load. But anytime you're getting too big to be athletic, you're going to see like, okay, Who performs better, the big guy who isn't athletic or the smaller guy who is?
Yeah.
They probably balance out,
Yep.
and at which case, like, you're going to feel better and you're going to be healthier at
Yes.
a lower body fat percentage.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's the point of that diminishing returns. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, now you're starting to get excess this, and we're not seeing the returns on it. Yeah, the body weight was good, but now you're moving horrible, and you feel sluggish, and from even a lifestyle standpoint, not going in the right
Hey,
direction.
you can deadlift 20 pounds more than you could.
Right, yeah,
You can deadlift 20 pounds more than you could when you were 20 pounds lighter.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, stupid me.
Okay. Do we want to pivot to what fueling within the season looks like?
Yeah.
Okay. So, at this point, whenever I was thinking about the outline I was making last night, it's I'm eating to look a certain way. Oh no, the season started. We don't care what you look like. I'm sorry, but wait until later.
And dude, like that's the biggest thing. And CrossFitters, a lot of them are like super jacked, but kind of look at the past winners. Matt Frazier, not super jacked. Jacked,
No,
not
they're
super jacked.
they're jacked in terms of how much muscle their body has, but they're not jacked
Yeah.
in terms of how lean they are,
Yeah.
or how like their ratio
They probably
on
have
their body.
10% body fat. Like Matt Frazier would say, he always tried to go into competition with probably around, I think it was that body fat, and then maintain it throughout the competition because he wants to perform.
Oh yeah, I would hear him talking about he is slamming food during competitions so that his goal is to lose as little weight as possible.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
And whenever your goal is performance, you do not want to be sacrificing lean tissue or any tissue really whenever you are used to that quantity of tissue on your body going into the competition.
Yes, and if you want to perform, who cares what you look like?
Correct.
Because it does not matter. It matters what you do on the field, on the stage, at CrossFit, if you're a CrossFitter. But at any sport, it just matters how you perform. And that's like football players a lot of times, and I get them, and they're like, oh, well, I want to be ripped up, this, that. It's like DK Metcalf. That dude doesn't count. I don't understand that guy. But look at Aaron Donald. Ripped, but not ripped. Look at Travis Kelce. Big dude, not ripped. Like, but he performs insanely well. And if you're a contact athlete, you have to have over 10%, or you're going to get hit and just
Die.
break. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just die. Like, you're just done. So you have to have some body fat percentage in every sport, because that's you're going to pull for fuel.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about comfort levels too. I like CrossFit is the main thing where people are training or competing with their shirts off so often, and you see the people who are lean, and usually naturally or at a genetic level, and that's something else we can talk about later, is how do genetics determine A, how strong you are, B, how lean you can get while still upholding a certain degree of performance and being comfortable. But for most people, that's not going to be the case. But you see a lot of people who are like that, and like I said, some of them genetically get there, some of them don't genetically get there, and they are I don't want to say falling victim to what I'm about to talk about, but they are responding to the stimulus that I'm going to talk about, is seeing people who are ripped, saying that's what I need to look like to be in this sport, and then subsequently altering your diet and your training to look like that whenever you really need to be eating and training another way to optimize your performance individually.
Exactly. And that's, a big example in our space would be, look at Noah Olson, look at Justin Medeiros.
Yeah, yep.
No offense to Noah Olson, he's great, and he's been great, never won. Justin Medeiros won.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Noah Olson probably does fuel his body. He's just genetically ripped. And Justin Medeiros is not. Yeah. But, I mean, he's still fueled for performance. He didn't care. He didn't fall victim to, I need to look like the guy next to me. He stayed true, won the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, and I was perusing Instagram however long ago. You see Marcus Philly, he's a big Instagram figure now.
Yes.
And he was comparing his physique whenever he was a CrossFit athlete versus to his physique now. He's not competing now in CrossFit. He's probably, I would be surprised if he was over 8% body fat. I would say he's probably like 6-ish.
I agree.
Back when he was competing, he was probably 10 to 12. You could tell in the pictures. Yep. His abs are still visible, but not as defined. He's thicker in the midsection, but that's by design. That's because of the demands of the sport. You have to carry these heavy loads on top of your person pretty much around the clock. Not literally around the clock, but that's the demand of the sport.
Yeah, exactly.
And this midline durability and, for lack of a better word, girth of your body is necessary to where now he's not competing. He doesn't have to do that as often. He can trim down, he can get leaner, and he can train in a different way.
Yep.
But that's the thing, is his current training demands, which is pretty much a functional style of bodybuilding from what I can tell, doesn't require that much body mass. and as much energy as he was consuming and expending whenever he was training CrossFit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's a great example of seeing a competitor when they're fueling their body for performance and now lifestyle guy.
Yeah, and while we're talking about, like, he talks about it too, so if you want to, like, check out his Instagram, I'm not going to say,
he's
like...
great.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Yeah, he's very knowledgeable. I think he says a lot of the right stuff.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to, like, mention him and say, like, all right, never look at him.
Never go check out Marcus Philly.
Well, everything you want to know about Marcus Philly, come to us.
Yeah, we'll tell you about Marcus Philly's sleep schedule.
Yeah. Let's see. Where else can we pivot to? If time permits, I have it here. Now we may be able to, because we have 5 minutes, pivot into a little bit of talk about tracking food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we talked about finding kind of your comfort out of season. Where's my maintenance? And then from there, how can I branch off of maintenance if I want to gain weight, lose weight, build muscle, get smaller as a person? Now, if we're moving into the season, we're talking about, we don't really care what your body looks. We're trying to generally maintain what your body looks like, if not just disregard it altogether in the pursuit of trying to train as effectively as possible, fueling your training.
And when you're fueling for that, you're not going to get, like, when you're fueling like that, you're not going to get fat, you're not going to look bad. It's just not going to be visually ripped. But,
no, it's like...
And you still might be, but...
Say in your off season you get a little bit ripped, and then in your season you, I don't want to say deviate too far from that, but you're not as ripped as you were. You're the only one who really notices it.
Exactly.
Because you look at yourself every day.
Yep.
I hate how, like, self-reflective, at least on a body image standpoint, especially in CrossFit, that it becomes, because, like I said, everybody's always doing stuff with their shirts off.
Yep.
Seeing other people look a certain way makes you want to look a certain way, so you look at yourself twice as often as you normally would to compare yourself to the way other people look.
Yep.
Genetically, you're not... It's going to be impossible for you to look exactly like another person.
Yep.
Sure, you can get, like, in a ballpark. I mean, I'm not encouraging you to get in the ballpark of other people based on how you look, but I'm saying if you're trying to aspire toward another person's look, but the aspiration should be performance metrics.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
The more focused we are on how we look as an athlete, the less attention we're paying to our performance, and we're sacrificing the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I agree. And even from the athlete level, coming to the lifestyle level, I still think you should be, like, why do you want to be that lean? Your energy levels probably suck too sometimes. Like, if you're getting down to like 4% body fat, it's like, what are you doing here? Like, I
don't know if anyone's ever been to 4% competing.
No, 4% competing. No, but I'm saying from a lifestyle standpoint.
No, yeah.
Like, even that, you don't want to be that low. You want your energy level, like, don't you want to live fun?
Living fun is having followers on social media. That's another lens we can look at body composition through. Because not only are you seeing people in your competitions and in your gym who look a certain way, you're seeing 20 times that many people, at least, on Instagram who look like those people you want to look like or better. And how do I want to phrase this? If, in reality, 1 out of 1,000 people look the way you want to look, when you go into social media, 1 out of 3 people look that way because of the way your feed is filtered based on what you're searching and who you follow. It skews your perception of reality.
Yes.
And it's pretty dangerous.
It's very dangerous. It's sad how dangerous it is.
Dangerous to your person, and then dangerous to your, competitive aspirations.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, you have to kind of stay away from the social media trap of just being like, oh, that person's competitive, I'll follow them. And then now, like you said, your whole feed just rip people. It's like, okay. Which is good to an extent. Like, I want to compete like these guys, but don't care about looking like them.
Yeah.
Just care about competing.
And I don't know if I mentioned this little, if time permits, we pivot to tracking, but based on time, I think we can do that at a later date, because I think
we'll dive into tracking next time.
Yeah, that'll be its own rendition, its own episode. But I think we're at a good stopping point here.
I agree.
Where Curt said it doesn't really matter how you look within certain parameters.
Yeah.
But
there's two ends of the spectrum. But
if
you want to perform, gotta fuel.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to compete, like, for example, in CrossFit, you don't want to look like, I don't know, the left tackle of the Seattle Seahawks.
Exactly.
But
if you want to be the left
tackle, if you want to be the left tackle of, I don't know.
No,
dude, I don't know why I can't. Arizona Cardinals. I don't know. I was trying to think of every single team, and none of them came out. If you're trying to be an offensive lineman at a high level, maybe that's another person that you can look at and say,
yes.
Is their body generally indicative of what I should look like at this position in this sport? Mm-hmm. Sure. Are you going to look identical to them? No. But their general template of their body and then
Yeah.
their performance. How is that aiding their performance?
Yep.
Looking in that bin of body type,
Exactly.
and then what can I do to perform like that person?
Yep. Yeah, you're not going to look like a CrossFit Games athlete trying to
No.
be the left tackle.
No, I'm sure Justin Medeiros would not stand up to an NFL defensive end very well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry to offend him.
Yeah, sorry, Justin, but TJ Watt's going to wreck you.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Alrighty,
All right.
that's it.